Hi, this is Bob Samuels, founder of TechConnectr. TechConnectr is a marketplace and campaign management platform of best-of-breed account-based marketing lead generation solutions. We've partnered with the Serious Decisions Summit to bring you wisdom from leading account-based marketing thought leaders. To that end, I'm happy to introduce you to Rhonda Wunderlin, Senior Vice President of Performance Marketing at Questex, a leading B2B publisher. Rhonda has been able to utilize her experience across marketing, sales, and finance to implement best practices solutions. Rhonda, it's a pleasure to speak with you. How are you today?
Doing great. Thanks for spending some time with me.
Excellent. So we're at Serious Decisions, and it's one of my favorite events, and I get to meet a lot of cool people with fun ideas, and ABM is the big topic of the day, and Rhonda's, she's got a great background in B2B marketing, and Rhonda, could you share a little bit about your background and your background about ABM in particular?
Yeah, sure. I think, when you say ABM, it's it's that name that everyone's talking about, but really account-based selling has been around since, Miller Hyman wrote Strategic Selling 34 years ago. And I think that, when you look at all the technology that's coming out and everybody's using that term, it's really a part of marketing, modern marketing, whatever you want to call it. We went from lead gen to demand gen to modern marketing. And I think that when I look at my background and the clients I've worked with, I did a lot of consulting during my Eloqua days working with clients, and then now that I've been probably for the last 8 years working in media, all of our clients that we've worked with, it has been a transition from that. I need leads to I need quality leads to I need BANT leads. And even as recently as a year or two ago, we had clients saying they wanted BANT leads. And how do you actually get that information, right? You ask somebody on a forum and they're never going to give you the right data. So I think there's a term that I heard, it's probably been a couple of years ago. I know that Serious Decisions did a presentation on it at Tech Exchange in 2017, but it's the term FIRE, which is fit, which is part of, part of what BANT is it's the right fit, but also, including intent and recency and engagement. And I think that those four things have really influenced how we're able to deliver on what we call ABM today.
That makes sense. So instead of BANT, FIRE seems to be
and we have, and today what's really changed from back in the, Miller Hyman strategic selling days is that we have the technology, the tech stack, the platforms that help us deliver it. We have partners like Bombora who can, through third-party data, really start to measure intent and surge, as they call it, surge information. And I think back when marketing, one of the kind of fundamental foundational layers of being able to deliver on it is sales and marketing alignment. And I think that, we saw when marketing automation launched, 15 years ago? Has it been longer? Am I aging myself? We really saw the need for sales and marketing to align, for marketing to be accountable for revenue, for BDRs to be basically measured by, deals that close, not just number of leads they pass over. So I think having that foundation of sales and marketing alignment, having the technology to help deliver on FIRE, we'll call it, and then also with AI and predictive analytics, really being able to determine what are those targeted accounts and what are the the individuals in those companies that are making the buying decisions or make up the buying team.
That makes sense. So it's combining a lot of different types of technology and segmentation, figuring out who to reach, how to reach them. Then you have all different personas, I guess, for the buying committee. It's not just one person you're reaching out to.
Right, which, is part of the challenge. But again, with our thousands of new technologies that come in, your ability to map, to develop and deliver content based on personas that are part of the buying committee, and then be able to track through engagement, not just on with your own content and your own kind of marketing campaigns, but what's engagement on those topics off your site and with other organizations to really hone in on who's in that kind of buying time frame so that sales can really prioritize who they are engaging with.
That makes sense. So combining your first-party information about the person and then combining what they're doing outside your scope, it's a great combination. And people are, like you said, people are demanding more.
Yeah.
And so you just have to be very, very. You got to be better than what's out there. So it's always a challenge, and it's always you need to keep getting better and better with the targeting and the messaging and so forth. So it's an exciting time we're in right now.
Yeah, I also think there's still a lot of education needed. I mean, there's certainly the forerunners, the first people who adopted marketing automation, those first clients, initial clients of demand base when ABM started becoming a thing. But there's a lot of organizations and in various industries that are still kind of looking for leads, just for quantity. So I think education is kind of key too.
Yeah, educating, that's a good point. And a lot of people think they can just go buy an ABM system,
yeah.
And then there they go, they're ready to go, and they've got their ABM, but it's not so easy, and it's not, and it seems like ABM is more of a philosophy, or it should be in all campaigns. It's just the way to reach out and target the companies and the accounts that have the most prospective success.
I think it definitely has become more sophisticated. I mean, back again, in my Eloqua days 15 years ago or so, when we talked to clients, it was really moving them through this journey of, going from batch and blast to, and truly the second tier was to be more targeted by account or industry, like we're going to talk to these industries differently than we talk to these other industries about our value proposition, but then to get to account-based to one-on-one. So I still believe, I know in B2B, there is a buying committee, and you are selling to an account, and being able to aggregate the engagement across the individuals within an account can tell you kind of where they are in the buying process. But you're still in the end, you're still marketing to individuals, and being able to, obtain that data and be relevant based on what we were previously talking about by persona, whether it's a decision maker, a stakeholder, an influencer, I think is key. And with today's technology, I think we're more able to deliver on that.
Makes sense. And I know you at Questex, you're dealing with a lot of different industries and different sorts of people in those industries. Are you finding different industries are embracing ABM more than others? Do you have different approaches for each type of industry?
Yeah, I think it's the approach and their appetite for spending money on the approach. So definitely, our more sophisticated industries, healthcare, biotech, pharma, telecom, those industries and large companies are very focused on basically getting leads who fit that FIRE definition, that they're engaged, that their intent behavior is reflective of where they are in a decision-making process. I think some of the brands, or properties that are slower to adopt are, those like healthcare, I'm sorry, not healthcare, like beauty and spa, travel, hospitality. Those are just a little bit slower to kind of get on the bandwagon.
Yeah, from a technology standpoint at the least.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So what kind of interesting things have you seen that clients are doing, or what you're doing for clients as far as ABM, and what any successes that you can share?
I think, some of our successes primarily have been in telecom, and I think in our kind of electronics group that is growing, and it's they're really demanding specific job types and job levels and specific accounts that they're targeting to support their ABM strategy. And so one of the things we're able to bring to the table is, with our audience who's engaged with our editorial content, we have that first party data on kind of what their needs and desires are and what topics they're interested in. And so we can extend kind of our advertisers, on behalf of our advertisers, we can extend our reach off of our website through account-based marketing campaigns, but by integrating that first-party and third-party data and identifying lookalikes, and then overlaying that intent data on there to prioritize who's in market.
That makes sense. Very cool. So what kind of, you mentioned Bombora. Any other technologies that you've seen that are very helpful in the ABM process? I guess you've also mentioned some data companies and contacts and so forth.
Well, actually NetLine. We are using NetLine too for some account-based campaigns that have proven to be very successful. And then we're working very closely with Adaptive and LiveRamp. Adaptive to really make sure that we don't waste money on our ABM campaigns. So some of, by really closely monitoring the campaign as it's running and optimizing it, has really proven to be effective. So for example, we may be spending a lot of money and getting a lot of impressions, but maybe the impressions from IBM aren't converting. So we'll remove that from the campaign and focus on some of the other companies and target impressions there that are actually clicking through and converting. So we're doing a lot of that kind of work with Adaptive. And then with LiveRamp, pushing out on like Instagram and Facebook campaigns that are really driving engagement with their own audience.
So that's interesting. So you're getting into multi-channel reach for you're not just limiting to just your site.
Right. I think, that is, in the end, I think everybody talks about it, but really key to success is that customer experience and making sure that you're, at those different points that your prospects, in our case, our audience, where they're engaging, and that you provide that consistent, look and feel, and they know that, oh, this was, was just on their site, and have that like integrated customer experience, I think is really key.
So it's kind of a seamless approach. They get used to the look and feel of the outreach. Beautiful.
It does. I mean, we have seen over and over again that by having that, kind of consistent integrated customer experience, it does increase conversions. At different points based on where people are engaging.
Yeah. So I guess when you have the multi-touch like that, it gets to be tricky as far as which touch made the difference. So as far as measuring and attribution and so forth, do you try to get into attribution with multi-touch like that?
We don't, because most of the work we're doing, at least with my team, is on behalf of our clients and sponsors. We do really track and monitor source, like lead source and engagement, so we know where to focus our efforts, what type, what profiles are responding on what channels, and where we kind of put more effort based on who we're targeting. So it's more kind of like that versus attribution back to revenue.
Makes sense. So one last thought is, so crystal ball, if you were to put your crystal ball hat on, where do you see ABM? Things have happened. I mean, the last 10 years or 5 years, it's so different now. What's it going to look like in a year? What's it going to look like in 5 years from now?
Gosh, I wish I had a crystal ball. I mean, if you just look back over the last 10 years and the changes that we've seen across sales and marketing, it's pretty much mind-blowing to me. So it's so hard to say. I do think, everybody talks about data. That's the other hot topic in the last 5 years. Big data, small data. But I do think probably more integration across platforms, more automation. Right now I think it's a little bit more heavy lifting to overlay that engagement and intent data. So I see kind of more real-time access to insights that really drive the ability to optimize campaigns in the next couple of years. As far as 5 years, I can't really say.
It's not a fair question. It's just it's going to be different. That's for sure.
It's going to be different.
And it's not going away. I mean, people need leads. They want to. They're going to. The more they can, the more they're going to be asking for very specific leads, very specific people, very specific time frame. So you got to be ahead of all that. So that's always a challenge, I guess.
Yeah, and I would probably just say in closing, I think we on the receiving end, like when we ourselves get marketed to. I think for us, it's going to be, and therefore for when we're marketing to our prospects or audience, it's going to be really important to be relevant. I heard actually Triblio in a luncheon I went to a few years ago use the word compellevant, and I thought it was brilliant because we always talk about relevancy, but it also has to be compelling. It has to be relevant to me at the time based on where I am in my decision-making process. So, yeah.
I like that concept.
Compellevant.
Compellevant. It's compelling and it's relevant.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Wonderful. Any other thoughts? It's been I appreciate your sharing, and so if we missed anything, now's the time. Otherwise, I appreciate your time.
No, I think I've said plenty, but thank you again for having me on your little podcast.
Thank you. It's a pleasure, and I look forward to talking again soon. Take care.
Thanks. Bye.